Hi, I'm Pip. Welcome to the presentation of Local Friend. Local Friend is an app and a service designed for millennial travellers, like these ladies. We went out into Hong Kong about a month ago and spoke to a lot of travellers around what their areas of anxiety were, to understand what problems they were experiencing when they travelled. We found that most of them have three key areas where they are concerned. The first one is sightseeing, most important for most travellers. What sites must I see? How do I get to see X? How do I travel to Y? Most of them are answered through forums like TripAdvisor and Lonely Planet. Two areas though that they feel are covered by, to part covered by insurance, but really they haven't thought about it much at all. One is physical security, and the other is medical emergencies. So we delved into this a little bit deeper and asked, so how are they dealing with this today? With the few that said they have an insurance, the rest of them actually, they're not dealing with it at all. So we know that there is we recognize the gap in services targeted for millennials beyond insurance for physical security and medical emergencies. And that's what Local Friend does. It targets those areas. So most of them don't have an understanding of how to react. Some of them were talking about phoning up their insurance agency and asking, but a lot of this happens after they've filled out all the paperwork rather than what happens immediately as an accident occurs. This is where Local Friend comes in. So what is Local Friend? Local Friend is an app-based service that enables people to access information immediately of import. So where is the closest hospital? And it also gives people access to a local network of people that they can speak to and who can physically come and help them when they're in an emergency. Let me take you through what it looks like. So we developed this prototype on the Pop by Marvel app, and very simply it has the four areas: the health, crime, accident, disaster. At the bottom you've got the three buttons for emergency, so this will link to the emergency number in country, and they can also call the Local Friend hotlines, either phone or chat through WeChat or WhatsApp. This was our first prototype, and we discovered that actually it's the physical security and the medical emergency that are most important. Here, things to avoid under crime was most important, as well as a map of dangerous areas to avoid. Back to the home page, and then the health. This was clearly the number one for everybody. Where is the nearest hospital? How do I contact an ambulance? What vaccines might I need if I'm going somewhere else? And the doctors. A lot of this information, yes, it is available through the internet, but not in a single place. Plus the 24-hour hotlines where they can call, talk to a person, or through a chat, simply ask, I am at this hospital, please come and help me, I've broken my leg and I don't know how to use the process. So this is the app that called Local Friend, and the biggest difference is the fact that it has a human being at the other end, either on the phone, on a chat, or someone who can be with you in person. When we took this, so we've gone and tested this in the primarily Hong Kong and Singapore markets. We've had approximately 35 interviews over the last 6 weeks, really understanding what the millennials think about this tool using the prototype. A lot of them were saying it looks like insurance, but they recognize that there is a gap. There is a human gap between what insurance offers and what they might be needing if they were in this situation, because they really don't know. And this really came home when I met Tyler. Tyler is a young man, a young entrepreneur who I met at an entrepreneur's event in Singapore a few weeks ago. So naturally, I took the prototype and I took the opportunity to speak to people. Tyler was one of them. And before I could finish, Tyler interrupted me and said, "This is exactly what I needed." And then he told me his story. Tyler was a member of a basketball team traveling over to Indonesia. Indonesia, very close to Singapore, and a lot of the team also spoke Bahasa, which is a language here used in Singapore quite frequently. He had an accident during a match, and someone's elbow hit his eye. His eye is quite damaged. You can't see it. This is his LinkedIn photo. You can't tell in the picture too clearly, but it's very obvious when you meet him in person that he's had quite some bad damage to his eye, and that's now permanent. So Tyler went to the local hospital and was left there in emergency for nearly 3 hours before anyone helped him, before he saw a doctor. He had blood gushing from his eye. Obviously it slowed down over time, but he told me about the fear and the concern of being in a foreign country, not understanding the process, and in spite of some of the people he was with speaking Bahasa, they couldn't communicate with the local staff. He didn't know, does he need to go somewhere else? He didn't understand the process. He didn't understand a lot of what was going on. And the anxiety was very high. Also for his coach, who was there with him, trying to help solve, because he was quite a young man at the time. So he was in their care and responsible. Unfortunately, Tyler's eye it did get permanently damaged. We don't know if it could have been helped if local friend had been there. So what would have been different if local friend was there? He would have found someone locally who could have come and helped him either translate with the staff or say, this hospital's emergency use always very long. There's 1-2 blocks away that if you go, it'll be a lot quicker. So this really helps digital natives through an app-based support, address that human side, that gap between during an accident with insurance. We estimate this market to be around $1 billion. How did we get to that number? 2 is the insurance market. So the insurance market up to 2019 is estimated to be $3 billion. And the number of trips. At the moment, we're at 308 million travellers, inbound tourists to Asia. It's projected to be about 330 million by 2020. If we were to look up to 2020 and only 10% of those travellers spending $30 each, let's say from a $3 download and a premium, then we will easily reach $1 billion. And that's just in one market. So, direct sale, how are we going to get this out and monetize? First of all is the apps and the access to the system itself. Bundling with insurance and other providers is the next one. And finally, being able to sell the big data to companies like insurance. There's a lot of opportunity here. Some looked at what services are available now. None of them satisfy like Local Friend does. They're either very high cost or very low touch from a human perspective. So how are we going to bundle and get this out and to promote it? First of all, we're looking at how we can bundle it with other travel purchases, such as Airbnb. Many airlines or hotels will bundle for insurance. Airbnb doesn't at this point in time, and we see this as a very unique way that's specifically targeted to the millennials. We can leverage YouTube and Instagram and other millennial apps that millennials use, and partner with organizations like tourism boards. The key is being the first trusted one to market. There's white space there. There is a gap in the human side between people in emergency situations and insurance. It's not being first or biggest, it's about being trusted. So, meet the team. We have Joan, who's a specialist in insurance, Michael and Daryl, who are working in financial services, investment capital and strategy, Ed, who works in operations and sales, and myself, who works in human resources in the technology industry. Next steps. First of all, we really need to understand the supply side. Where are our friends coming from? Secondly, we need to finalize our app, the UI, UX, and the price point. And thirdly, explore those opportunities for bundling. So we hope to bring you more news in another month on the update for Local Friend. Thanks for your time.